here and welcome back to another video. So today we're back here for another speed build, and today we're going to go ahead and create this mansion with just one pack. So the pack I'm going to be using is cats and dogs, and it's not something that's kind of, you know, like sort of like out of the blue for me. It is a pack that I actually kind of like to use, but I did actually go ahead and randomize it and pick like a pack to use because it was suggested a few times actually to do a build just using one random pack. So that's what we're doing today in a mansion form. So this home features 5 or 6 bedrooms, I can't exactly remember, and probably around the same number of bathrooms. I always tend to forget of the bedroom and bathroom number when it comes to the voiceover, but the correct number will be up on the gallery, so if you go there, there will be a link in the description as well if that's easier for you to kind of get to it. In the gallery it always says the correct number of bedrooms and bathrooms on there, so you can go ahead and see there and see if I'm right. So this is built on a 50 by 50 lot in Willow Creek, and as you would have seen from the thumbnail at the start, we do use a little bit of terrain tools today because it's something that I feel like as a builder I should be using. But it is definitely getting a lot easier to use terrain tools because at the start when we first got them I kind of avoided it a little bit because I'm just not that good at it, but you know, this was like another chance to practice a little bit and I'm actually kind of happy how it turned out. So another thing as well, I've said this as well, but I'm not really that fond of like terrain tools in general. I feel like for most of the time they don't really look right, I mean for me anyway, because it's such a flat world. Having like a hill in a random lot, it doesn't look right, but I've seen a lot of people who have used those and you know, everything's kind of looking amazing for everybody's builds that I've seen, and it's kind of completely changed my opinion. And also as well, I feel like on smaller lots it's really the only kind of like the time I have that opinion is when it's like terrain tools on smaller lots, at least for me when I build them, but when it comes to bigger lots I feel like it kind of blends in a little bit better, so it isn't so much of a problem there, so that's why we're doing it in today's build. So yeah, we're just kind of doing a little bit of the kind of roofing and stuff. I don't think I showed you all the roofing because I did have a little bit of trouble on that kind of like corner bit where the kind of modern windows are in like the octagonal roof there, and it was kind of connecting the two in like the L-shaped corner bit, I guess you could call it, so I had a little bit of trouble there, but I did manage to get it to work sort of okay. I did have to kind of fiddle around with it off screen a little bit to get it to work, but I'm happy how it turned out in the end. So just going around putting some windows on, and like I said, it's just cats and dogs today, so it's kind of worked out well because in the entire game the cats and dogs windows are my favourite ones and I always seem to use those ones, so it's kind of nice to be able to have to use those today and not feel so guilty about it, because I know a lot of builders actually feel this way as well, but when you use items like too much, you kind of feel a little bit weird about using them, like, you know, just an excessive amount of them. So I do try to switch it up as much as I can, but luckily for today's build I could just do something in my comfort zone, I suppose. And yeah, so I've also had a few other ideas for different mansion builds I could do, such as like a build with my favourite expansion game pack and stuff pack, and I really want to do that actually, but it's just I don't really know how to title it because I don't want the title to be too long for like the actual video itself. So if you have any suggestions on how I could title it, then that would be great, because I kind of want to do it, but I'm just trying to think of what would be a good name for it really. And yeah, so there is a little driveway, as you can see, with a garage, and as normal in a classic Thomas TV build, the garage is always changed into a gym for the most part, and that's what we did today as well. It's kind of just a good use of the space, I suppose. And there's also a fairly kind of decently sized backyard area too. It's actually looks like there isn't that much room actually from looking at it here, and because like the train kind of takes up most of the space. But I did actually manage to fit a decently sized pool in with a gazebo with, like, you know, a seating area and barbecue and stuff, and also some seats around the pool I believe too. I think there's actually like a climbing frame, like just the base game one, and I think I managed to fit a greenhouse in as well, so there's quite a few things around in the backyard area. I really did want to put a swing set in as well, that's why I chose the base game one, because of course we didn't have seasons today, so I couldn't really do that, but I'm still happy how it turned out anyway. The landscaping isn't as in-depth as my normal builds, I would say, because the kind of terrain sort of made it a little bit more awkward to do the landscaping, but I did get a little bit in there as well. And yeah, so also, I know I say all the time that I don't do kids' rooms. I always keep my rooms neutral just because it's easier for you to kind of fit any type of family into one of my builds. And I also don't use my own builds either because I don't really play the game that often, so I just keep them neutral to keep it easier for everyone really. But today I wouldn't really say I did a kids' room, but I actually did a double, like twin room I guess you could call it, like 2 single beds in a room. So that could maybe be for like, you know, kids or teens or something. And you know, you can adjust how you need to, like add toys in or change the colour swatches up or something. But I did that because I did go ahead and add in one of those things in the backyard. What I called it, I said the right name before and I've totally forgotten it. Like that thing there, the monkey bars, there we go. So because I put that in, I felt like I kind of need to put some sort of like kids related bedroom in or something, just so it looks a little bit more, I guess, fits in a bit better, I suppose. And yeah, so we're now on the interior. I don't think we've actually finished the entire exterior. I say this as well, but I kind of tend to jump all over the place in builds these days, just to keep it a little bit more interesting for the speed build videos. I'm not showing the same thing over and over again. So we probably will go back out outside to do a little bit more later. I think we've got the gazebo stuff to do as well. But interior, we've got all the wall coverings done, just because it is a little bit easier to kind of save some space in the video, I suppose, and it is a pretty repetitive process. But saying that, next mansion build, which will be coming up on, let me just check the date on my calendar here, the 13th I think, not 100% confirmed, but it should be another mansion build then because it's a Sunday. And for this build that I'm doing, I did actually, I don't really want to ruin the idea, but it is something a little bit different. It's still sort of like a suburban style, I would say, but it is kind of very different actually. And I have actually done this idea once before a few months ago, and that was kind of a first. But the thing is, it's a very repetitive kind of build, I would say. I'm kind of not really selling this video very well here, but it's kind of like in one of the, oh god, you know what, I'm just not going to continue because I'm going to ruin it. But anyway, just that kind of thing that I was talking about, how I was cutting things out of the build, I'll kind of talk a little bit more about in that video. Anyway, that whole, like, I just wasted like 2 minutes rambling about nothing there. Anyway, so we're on the interior now again, and we're working on the living room here, as you can see. This room is pretty big. I mean, well, kind of all of the rooms are, because it's a mansion after all. So it is pretty spacious. We're just putting a few little seating areas around and stuff. And yes, so I also wanted to hear, I know I was asking the other day about things to watch on Netflix, and one of the ones I've just started watching actually is Bandersnatch, the Black Mirror new series of that, where it's kind of like the interactive film, which is really strange. I don't think I've seen that before on Netflix. So that's kind of interesting. Let me know if you've seen that, but I mean, don't ruin it though, because I've only seen like the first like 10 minutes of it. So I'm kind of just going through that, and I don't really know if I like it or not, because it's sort of like frustrating, because after like I click an option, I'm always like, what, I wonder what would happen if I click the other one, and then you kind of like, well, do I go back to the beginning afterwards and like choose the other options to see what happens, or is it like the same thing kind of happens? I don't know. But anyway, I'm just working on this room here, which is the master bedroom, I would say. I'm a little bit hesitant if it is, because I say this all the time, but you know, all the bedrooms in my build are pretty much the same size, so it's kind of hard to kind of, you know, tell which one's going to be the master bedroom or not. But as you can see, that one has its own TV space, and it also as well, the bedroom next to it, which I haven't finished yet, but you can kind of see the one next to it that's blank, and that has its own ensuite, so it's kind of like hard to decide which one would be the master bedroom, because that one has an ensuite but it's smaller, but that one there was bigger but it didn't have an ensuite, but it had a TV and stuff. So I don't know, it's kind of hard to decide, but I'll leave that up to you. I know I kind of mention that a lot, but I always seem to kind of see that most people in their builds do decide on what's going to be the master bedroom, but for me it's always kind of a struggle to decide. Anyway, so as you can see, we're back on the exterior now, finishing off like some more finishing and stuff. So we're just putting an outdoor table here with like a stereo, I couldn't think of the name there for a second, and I think I put the barbecue in there as well. And we're just doing a little bit more landscaping. Now the landscaping with terrain always kind of looks a little bit odd, depending on the angle of the terrain, because sometimes it can look like the plants are like floating, but sometimes as well it's kind of hard to see that if it is or not. So I had to kind of rearrange some things off camera to make that work, so it didn't look as odd. I couldn't really notice it, to be honest though, but I just wanted to kind of fix it before I put it up on the gallery and things. And also just putting a few dormers there on the top. I tend to do those that are completely unusable because there's no staircase, and I don't even put any wall coverings or lights up there either inside. They're just for decoration. One, it kind of adds to, I don't know why I say them a lot in suburban homes, but I suppose in real life they're really practical. But in The Sims as well, kind of just adds, you know, just something a little bit extra, I suppose, to it. This is the room here that I was just talking about, which was the double room. As you saw, nothing really special about it in terms of like kids' toys and stuff. It's very neutral again, but just a little bit different having a twin room for a change. And yeah, so this is the kitchen. As you can see, the kitchen is a little bit small, I would say, but it is enough space. And it kind of is this one huge big room kind of split into two. So this part of it is the kitchen, and then as you can see, it's kind of like the archway. Well, it's not really an archway, it's just the open doors, I suppose, going through into here, which has the dining room area. So it has a big dining table, a piano. I think there's also a bar area there as well. Well, you'll see it in a second. I did this a few days ago on the 2nd, yeah, the 2nd of January. I'm doing this voiceover on the 4th, and I think this is going up on like the 6th or something. But yeah, so also as well, as you can see, we put some kind of pet bowls there for food, and also one of the little beds there for dogs. Now, I know it's kind of weird because I chose like, well, I didn't choose, I got chosen, I suppose, cats and dogs to use in this build, but I kind of did think about putting like, you know, pets, beds and toys and stuff in it as well. So it was kind of a last minute thing. It's like, oh, I should probably include something for pets. So I suppose that this family would be probably better off with a dog. If you have a cat, you may want to add some more things into that though. But yeah, so this room right here is the study. It is actually a pretty big room, this one. So I do go ahead and put well, what I actually do is, if a study is going to be a big room, then I kind of flip the desk around so it's like facing the room instead of against the wall. And then I put 2 chairs, which you'll see me do in just a second, like here, is if it's like a meeting room sort of thing. So maybe if it's somebody who's up, you know, high in their career or in the business career or something, then that kind of fits with that storyline a little bit better. Otherwise, it's a little bit pointless, but it kind of just adds to that feel a little bit more. And yeah, so also a fireplace, because I mean, why not? We might as well, because there is the space for it in this room. So that's what we're doing there. So also another video that I'm planning on doing is the 5-minute build challenge, which I actually saw my friend Miss Griffey do the other day. And I thought it might be a little bit interesting to see how I get on with that, because you know, I am a fairly fast builder, I would say, and I think this build right here took me about an hour and a half to like 2 hours in between that time frame. So I'm kind of curious to see what like I could do in 5 minutes. So I'm going to be doing that challenge. I don't know when. Maybe, well, actually, it might have already been, you know, before this video. I don't know. Maybe after next week. I don't really know yet, but as I did say as well in a couple of videos ago, that I do actually have a new webcam now to kind of make facecam videos a little bit easier, and then setting up my actual camera. So I might do that with that, but I'm not too sure because I feel like it might be a little bit, you know, distracting. So maybe I'll do the facecam with another type of video. So I don't know yet, but just let me know what you think about that. And yeah, so just working on another bedroom here. Again, nothing too special about it. It is fairly neutral. You can also see here how I'm using like a patterned wallpaper, which actually I don't really tend to use because I feel it looks a little bit old-fashioned, and I always tend to stick with just painted walls in my builds. But I kind of thought that maybe I should kind of, you know, start using some more different types of wallpapers and stuff, because, you know, using the same plain neutral painted walls in every single one of my builds in all rooms kind of gets a little bit repetitive after a while. So I kind of like that, just to kind of switch it up a little bit. So that's what we did there. And also as well, this little bit here that would just put that seating area in with those modern windows. It's actually got like a mezzanine level, so upstairs in the hallway you can actually look down there, and you can see down into that seating area. I think I do actually have a screenshot of that from the upstairs view at the end, if I'm not mistaken, so you can kind of see that there. And I also put a chandelier down there too. I mean, it's not really like a not a proper chandelier, because I mean, we only had base game and cats and dogs, so I just used one of the kind of simple ones from cats and dogs, but it kind of did the job anyway. And yeah, so this room right here is kind of like the secondary living room. I would say this one's more of like the informal one, because it's kind of got the TV here, and I believe the living room that we did at the start was, I think it just had a, did it just have a fireplace in it, or did it have a TV? No, I think it was just, yeah, it was just a fireplace. So this one in this room has a bar area too, as well as a few other seating areas, and of course the TV. So I do that a lot actually, because, well, one, I think it's kind of nice for these mansion builds, because it kind of separates a formal informal area, and also there is a space for it, so I might as well do that. So just working on kind of finishing up this hallway here. I normally cut these out of the builds because they are pretty boring, but this one was pretty big, so I did end up kind of decorating it a little bit more and putting some more furniture in it, so I thought I'd go ahead and include it in the speed build video. but we're pretty much at the end of the build here, so I really hope you enjoyed. In the comment section down below, let me know about what you thought of it. If you have any more suggestions for builds or mansions that you want to see, then let me know, as that'd be really helpful to hear. You can go ahead and download this off the gallery. My origin ID is real Thomas DV1, and there'll be a link in the description as well if that's easier for you to download it, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!